So we had two interviews I did with you before on Iboga. Iboga is also used a lot for processing trauma and overcoming difficulties. So also I want to talk about difficult topics on your father, my grandfather, David Glatt. And I have some questions prepared, and only answer if you feel comfortable. If you not feel comfortable, you don't have to answer. But I would like to start with, what are your earliest memories that you have from your father?
My father was a very social person and very connected to the neighbors and the people. Very kind human being, I would say. And very caring. That's what my memories, yeah. Used to play with us and take us places, and yeah, he was very happy to have a family. That's what I remember of him.
And can you describe the family home where you grew up, and what was your position in the family?
I have an older brother, 1 year older, and we lived in a multicultural community, and the neighbors were from different countries. Every neighbor came from a different country. Many neighbors came from the area of Iraq, Iran, Kurdistan. Some people came from Europe. Yeah, that's the neighbors around the house. Everyone came from another place.
And can you remember how long was your father already in Israel before you were born? How many years approximately?
My father came to Israel in the year 48, exactly at the day of the declaration of Israel.
Yeah. And you know how he came?
He came by boat from France.
And if I remember correct, he was liberated from Dachau by the Americans, and then he went to France.
No, he stayed in Poland for a few years more and worked. He worked in Poland. Had difficulty adjusting to the country situation, and he worked and find a way to go to France and immigrate to Israel.
And do you know if he came alone, or he had?
He came with a lot of people. Yeah. But he didn't say so much about that. But I know that he came with a lot of people from Europe who didn't find their place back in Europe after what happened.
And I remember when I was growing up, we went to see a lady called Bella. She was I think very old. He knew her from Poland, or later on in Israel?
No, she was his aunt from another grandfather, for a grandmother. My great-grandfather married twice, And my great-grandfather was from the first mother, from the first wife, and Bella was from the second wife. So they had a family connection. My grandfather had a good business in Warsaw, and he paid for Bella and her family to go to Argentina. That was between the First World War and the Second World War. So Bella was in Argentina while the Second World War happened. Yeah. And then she came to Israel from Argentina, and my father knew her as the aunt. Yeah.
And she is the only family that he had left?
No, there were more people in Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So only the people who left before the war started to Argentina, they were able to survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what are the values your father emphasized during your upbringing?
Well, enjoy every day you have. Yeah, enjoy every day you have. Yeah, that was it.
And I also remember that when I was visiting him, that it was very important for me to eat very well.
Yeah, that's true, because of course he was hungry for many, many years. He lived the war and before the war as well. They had an okay life, but it was not very rich. There was not enough food. Yeah, so he found food very important. Yeah, especially fresh vegetables and fresh fruits. Yeah.
And how much did your father share about his experiences during the war?
Well, he shared a lot. He shared a lot of stories, and there were very painful stories of survival during the war. Yeah. It was sometimes too much painful memories, and yeah, I could see it in his eyes, and of course there were tears and nightmares, and yeah, losing your whole family is not the easy thing to comprehend. Yeah.
Because he was like 19 years old or something, about that age, or?
Yeah, he was 19.
And were there any particular stories or events he recounted often?
Well, yeah, that he smuggled food into the Warsaw Ghetto, and he would try to help people to get out, and he would try to save anyone he could. And he risking his own life and trying to find his family in the ghetto, and asking where they were and if he could see them, find them. Yeah. But also he said there were good German people who helped him and helped him survive and fed him, and yeah, that also he told about these memories. So it was not all bad. And because he had skills, he could survive in the countryside, helping farmers. Yeah.
And he collected watches.
Yeah, he could repair watches, he could repair machines. Yeah.
And how did your father past influence your understanding of Jewish identity and history?
Yeah. That's very difficult. To be prepared to be discriminated against in any place. People judge you, and yeah, it's even without knowing you as a person. Yeah, that's about it. But be happy with what you have and show gratitude for what you have. Yeah, that was this influence. Don't give up the joy of life for what other people think of you. That's the value of what he taught me. Because you can. Let's see.
And with the history, it's when something like this happens, I believe it takes a few generations to get out of the system of all the generations after. But do you also see this in Israel, of being a country with people that are traumatized, and this is also how the society is, it comes together?
Yeah, I see that the society there is traumatized, but I see that the trauma is all over Europe. It's everywhere, and people are so traumatized, they are confused and holding on to they are insecure, and and building up hopes that it will change and better times to come, and they're still insecure about the future, what is going to be when humanity is so much confused in their identity and what they're standing for. It's basically survival mode. It's hard to get out of.
And has your father's story impacted your own life choices and worldview?
Well, to help people to make a better life. That was very important in his life and in my life. To understand the brainwashing and where it's coming from, and what you have to let go in order to move on with your discovery of who you are, who you really are as a soul in a human experience.
And did he have any tradition or practices that he continued to you, or you even passed on to us?
Celebration of Hanukkah, celebration of holidays, of freedom, that's what was a major thing for him and for me too. The celebration of freedom But freedom is what you realize it to be. Yeah, from your own experience.
And what do you think your father would want the future generations to know about his experience?
Yeah. To cherish the moments of joy in your life and to appreciate freedom and of everyone, of every being. And yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, for me it's also that I think a lot of the mistakes that are made today with people following the politics is because they are forgetting what happened in the past. And if you don't study the past and understand the psychology of how these atrocities could have happened, that's why this is happening over and over again. Yeah, and I see it even in our family that people forget, and it's easy to fall in the trap because these methods of psychological warfare, they were successful before, and if you don't understand them, they will happen again. And how do you think David coped emotionally with everything he endured?
Well, it was very difficult for him. He had nightmares and yeah. He could suddenly cry when out of nothing. You think it's out of nothing because you wouldn't say why. But you can see him crying and yeah. Couldn't sleep at night for he had a heavy heart. It was hard for me as a child to understand. But what he tried to show us is his joy of having a family and having neighbors and garden and some sense of security that tomorrow will come. Yeah.
And because he's a Second World War survivor, there were many more people in Israel with this situation. Was there something for them to help them with this emotional grief? Or was it because everybody has it, or not everybody, but a lot of people have it, they just have to find out a way together?
Yeah, there were so many of them that it was not possible to help them all. And also because they thought, oh, now we are safe in our own country. Now we don't have to escape anywhere. We don't have to hide our identity. We can celebrate our holidays and celebrate being alive together. That the trauma was kind of less important at the time. Yeah. So they didn't look for help, and well, the help that we understand today, psychologists and psychiatrists, that was not that common to go and look for that kind of help because there were so many people who needed basically help. So it was not provided.
But did the Holocaust survivors, did they have a special status as survivors, or?
Yes, they had a special, special status, and they got some funds from Germany and other countries to go to some health wellness center and health center and have holiday.
And I remember that we came to visit him every year, or even sometimes more often, but he never, or I cannot remember that he came here. So he was afraid of flying, or he just didn't want to leave Israel? Or do you have idea why he didn't want to come?
Because of the history of Europe, what happened to the Jewish community here in Europe. He didn't feel safe here anymore. So that's why he didn't come. But he did come twice, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he enjoyed being with me and children. Yeah.
And what do you remember that he talked about politics or values or resilience? Or didn't he care about it anymore?
Well, he did. He cared about it, and he was kind of for peace and for everyone has this kind of a socialistic ideology of working and having a home and schooling and sharing the wealth in a more social way. Yeah, that was important. He thought that if everyone has his home and his food and his work and his family, then why would they want to kill anybody else? Yeah, that's what he thought. Yeah. And that's what he talked about. So, yeah.
And he was a humanitarian.
Yeah, he was a humanitarian. Yeah.
Have you any other memories you would like to share?
Yeah, I used to pick up from school and go with me and my brother to swim and to play on the beach and visit people who were also war survivors. Yeah. I can't remember much more than that, really.
Mm-hmm. And what does his legacy mean to you personally?
It's, to work towards your freedom of legacies.
Well, if I look at the history, like I see also a pattern. For example, he went against the Nazis by being an activist, like helping people, going against the the narrative by actively resisting, and then I think you grew up with this idea also, and then the Western society now says is against natural medicine, and you don't believe in it, so you also go against it.
No, not in that sense that I go against it, but I work towards my freedom. I work towards understanding what is good for me, what's good for another, and not taking a narrative to think, oh, if they think that way, I have to take it without any question. I question everything. But I'm not against anybody, because I can see that if they don't know any other way, then they take what there is. They don't question anything, they take what there is. And that's what I learned from him. You need to work on it. You need to ask the question and see what you can do to keep going without. It is resisting. It is resisting, but without a fight. I don't fight anybody. I just pave my own path. That's the work I do. I pave my own path. Yeah, in the natural way. I think the natural way is the best way. And yeah. So not resisting as a fight, but flowing in a way that you can.
Yeah, so you keep your own values, even though they're not accepted.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I do question why a narrative of why would people think in a certain way, and what they say today, follow the money. And then you know.
Yeah. You have anything to add, or you can leave it like this?
I think people would be happier with themselves if they question what is good for me and why I think like that and where is it coming from. And then work on finding the answer, not just leave it and accept everything. Yeah, I think that's what I like to add to it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you.